Halcones. Halcones are the bottom rung of the cartel ladder, usually teenagers or even kids as young as 12. Their job is simple: watch and report. They stand on street corners, sit in parked cars, or hang around neighborhoods keeping eyes on police patrols, suspicious vehicles, anything that doesn't belong. When they spot something, they call it in immediately, usually through cheap cell phones or radios that get tossed if things heat up. Mulas. A mula is the lowest rung on the drug trafficking ladder. You're basically a human shipping container carrying a small load of narcotics across a border or between cities. The pay is terrible, usually a few $100 or just enough to cover a debt, and the risk is all yours. If you get caught, the organization doesn't know you. You're completely expendable, and most mullahs have no idea who they're actually working for or how the operation functions above them. Bureros. Bureros work the streets directly, standing on corners or patrolling small neighborhoods to sell drugs face-to-face with customers. They're the lowest tier in the cartel structure, handling small quantities and making deals throughout the day and night. Each burero controls a specific territory, sometimes just a single block, and they report sales numbers and any problems back to their supervisor. The pay is minimal compared to higher ranks, but it's constant work. If police show up or rival dealers encroach, the burero is expected to handle it or alert their boss immediately. Sicarios. Sicarios are the hitmen who do the dirty work. When a cartel boss wants someone gone, these are the guys who show up at your door or catch you at a stoplight. They handle assassinations, kidnappings, and sending brutal messages to rivals. Some are ex-military with actual training, others are just locals who know the area and don't ask questions. Either way, once they get an order, someone's not coming home. Estacas. Estacas are the cartel's armed lookouts, the guys posted at labs, safe houses, and key points along trafficking routes. They're basically human alarm systems with guns. These guards stay in position for hours, sometimes days, watching for cops or rival sicarios. If they spot trouble, they radio it in and either engage or fall back depending on orders. It's a low-level job in the cartel hierarchy, but you're the first one getting shot at when things go bad. Cocineros. The cocineros are the chemists and cooks who actually produce the synthetic drugs in hidden labs. These aren't amateur operations. You need real chemistry knowledge to synthesize methamphetamine or fentanyl properly, and a bad batch can kill customers or explode in your face. The best cocineros are former pharmacists or chemistry students who got pulled into the trade, and cartels protect them carefully because a skilled cook is worth their weight in gold. They work in makeshift labs set up in rural warehouses or houses, often exposed to toxic fumes and constant risk of raids. Contadors. Every cartel needs someone to handle the money, and that's where contadors come in. These are the accountants who take millions in drug profits and make them look legitimate. They set up front businesses like car dealerships or restaurants, then run dirty money through the books so it appears as normal sales. They track expenses, calculate profits, and most importantly, create paper trails that keep authorities confused. Without contadores, a cartel would be sitting on piles of cash with no way to actually spend it. Coordinadors run specific cities or regions for the cartel. They oversee the local crews moving product, collecting payments, and handling enforcement. Think of them as middle management. They make sure the quotas get met and report numbers up the chain while keeping their territory running smoothly. If a plaza is productive and quiet, the coordinator is doing their job. If shipments go missing or rival groups start moving in, that coordinator has a problem with the bosses above. Jefes de plaza. A jefe de plaza is the cartel's ultimate authority in a specific city or smuggling route. This person controls everything happening in that territory: production labs, distribution networks, the enforcers on the street, payoffs to cops. They answer only to the top cartel leadership and run their plaza like a miniature kingdom. In border cities or major drug hubs, being a plaza boss means managing millions in monthly revenue and commanding hundreds of armed men. Operadores sit at the top of the supply chain, managing the big picture stuff that keeps drugs moving across borders. These aren't street dealers or even local bosses. They're the ones who coordinate shipping routes, bribe the right customs officials, and set up distribution networks that span multiple countries. An operator might be based in one city, but control operations that stretch from production zones in South America to consumer markets in Europe or North America. They rarely touch product themselves and often appear legitimate on the surface, running businesses that serve as fronts. Lugartenientes. A lugarteniente is basically the cartel's second in command, the guy right below the boss. He oversees multiple plaza bosses at once and makes strategic calls about money, routes, and manpower. If the top leader gets arrested or killed, the lugarteniente usually steps up to run things without missing a beat. Some of them control entire branches of a cartel independently, basically operating like their own mini organization under the main brand. El Jefe de Jefes. At the top of the entire operation sits one person who controls everything. This boss of bosses makes every major decision about territory, alliances, and eliminations. They command absolute loyalty, not through friendship, but through a combination of brutal reputation and strategic generosity. Cross them once and you're done, along with anyone you care about. Their word is final, their reach extends across borders, and challenging their authority is essentially choosing death. Consejeros. Consejeros are the cartel's wise old heads, veteran members who've survived decades in the game and now advise the top bosses. They don't run operations themselves anymore, but their experience makes them invaluable for navigating messy politics between factions, deciding when to strike deals versus going to war, and spotting opportunities for expansion into new territories or markets. Think of them as the cartel's board of directors, except their bad advice gets people killed. Los Abogados. Los Abogados are the cartel's legal fixers, the lawyers who show up when members get arrested and start working the system immediately. They know every loophole, every corrupt judge, and exactly which prosecutors can be bribed or intimidated. These guys aren't public defenders. They're highly paid specialists who understand that keeping their clients out of prison or getting charges reduced means the cartel's operations keep running smoothly. They negotiate plea deals, suppress evidence, and delay trials for years if needed. Connects Connectees are the people cartels pay off to keep operations running smoothly. This includes cops, military officers, politicians, judges, and border agents who take bribes in exchange for looking the other way or actively helping. A paid-off cop might tip off a cartel about upcoming raids or investigations. Border agents wave shipments through without inspection. Politicians squash investigations or ensure certain laws never get enforced. Without these corrupt officials, cartels couldn't move drugs across borders or operate openly in entire regions.